My name is Prince Marshall, and welcome to the Thinker Series. While common sense seems to be less and less common these days, thoughtful deliberation also seems to be losing ground in everyday life. The purpose of this series is to promote more thought and reflection in those that see it, and hopefully improve their quality of life, and perhaps the lives of those around them. Before we go any further, let me tell you a little about myself and supply the required disclaimer. I am not a mental health professional, nor do I hold any degrees in any behavioral sciences. Other than some psychology courses way back in college, I have no formal training in this field. What I am, however, is a student of life, both as a participant and an observer. I grew up in a house of educators. My father was a minister, my mother would counsel other women, and my sisters both became teachers. The pursuit of knowledge and learning was important in my family, and as a child, during summer breaks, my parents had my sisters homeschooling me. I read the dictionary for fun, won spelling bees, was ahead of my peers academically through grade school, and in gifted classes through junior high school. I played chess with my sisters and father at an early age, and I loved Star Trek. My hero was Spock, because even though Kirk was the charming ladies' man and would lead the crew through the most impossible situations, it was Spock's logic, analytical thinking, and keen observation that was always the foundation of the solutions that saved the day. When I reached high school, I began to rebel against family tradition, and rather than focus on the academic, began to explore my own path in the practical and experiential. While maintaining high grades with little effort, I figured out a way to beat the attendance system so that I could cut classes, play hooky, and learn about adult life on my own. Needless to say, that created its own problems and troubles that I had to navigate, learn from, and overcome, but I survived and sit before you intact today. That would not be the case if thinking and analyzing were not so deeply ingrained in my consciousness. Thinking is a gift, a talent, a skill, a necessity that we depend upon to live. The way we are raised and programmed by our family, school, and society makes thinking a reflexive thing that we take for granted, and we are able to function in society by playing our roles and following the rules with very little effort on our part. Between television, radio, and the internet, we are spoon-fed conclusions we ourselves don't have to put much thought into. What clothes to wear, what foods to eat, where to live, what houses are nicer, what shows to see, and what technology to buy, and the list goes on. Yes, we ultimately decide these things for ourselves, but so many of these choices are based on a pool of foregone conclusions than on us actively researching, contemplating, and analyzing every factor for what is best for ourselves and those around us. What we need to do, as with any gift, talent, or skill, is to train, exercise, and practice our critical, analytical, consequential, and problem-solving thinking. We have to engage in conscious, intentional, responsible thinking, not taking the process for granted or reasoning based just on reflex and emotion. By taking ownership, responsibility, and mastery of our own thinking processes, we can begin to make deliberate, better, more satisfying, and more beneficial choices for ourselves, our loved ones, those around us, and the world. We've heard the saying, hindsight is 20/20. It is easy to look back after the fact and see where more thought could have been given and what choices should have been different. Moving forward, you should give more thought to your decisions before making them, incorporating the lessons learned from reflection over past decisions. This takes consciously exercising patience and taking some time to contemplate before making a decision. At first, it may seem a bit tedious not to make snap decisions, but like wax on, wax off in The Karate Kid, with practice, putting more thought into things will become easier and like second nature. Not everyone thinks of the same speed. But as I said before, like any talent or skill, exercise, training, and practice will improve your ability. Law enforcement, military, and intelligence operatives are trained in observation skills and in rapid situational assessment and response. People on the show Superhuman solve complex math problems in their head or remember long sequences of colors or items. Some people are just good at these things, and others have to develop and nurture them, but they all practice to become better and do them faster. We have to approach thinking the same way. Now, I'm going to be honest. It is going to be harder for some than others. That's a given. But you are also going to have to accept that you are going to have to make a willful effort at being more thoughtful because of all the obstacles. There are those TV shows we like to watch, those video games we like to play, the social media posts we like to follow, and a million other things actively grabbing our immediate attention from one moment to the next, so when it comes time to make a decision, we just make it and move on to the next thing without pause or hesitation. We have to exercise discipline when it comes to thinking. Take a moment and breathe, then think. Breathe. Confirm your decision. Breathe. Then act. To give you a real-world example, I had to give a deposition in a civil case. The lawyer coached me on what to say, what not to say, what questions to answer, and what questions not to answer. Then he told me this: no matter the question, even if it's yes or no, take at least 2 seconds to answer. If I'm going to object, I'll tap your leg and you don't say anything. The reason for this was so that I would have the opportunity to fully understand the question, fully formulate the answer, and give him the opportunity to process the question, its relevance, and impact. Now, I want to emphasize something in this example that I mentioned earlier about the differences in the speed of thought. In the time it was going to take me to process the question and give an answer, the lawyer was determining all the legal nuances that question could have on the case, his and the opposition's strategy, and the eventual effect that question and its answer could ultimately have on the outcome of the case. His experience in this area gives him the ability to both process all of that quickly and the store of knowledge and wisdom to draw upon in order to make the decisions on how to proceed in the time it was going to take me to come up with an answer and wait 2 seconds. All of the things we deal with in life don't have legal ramifications, but why not give them the same careful consideration? Impulsively, we blurt out answers to questions without a second thought. Sometimes it is to beat someone else to the answer. Other times it is because we want to show how smart we are. And other times it's an emotional reaction. Sometimes it works out well. Sometimes it doesn't. The more we think about our answers and responses, the more likely they are to work out well. That reminds me of the saying in competition when your opponent says, "Study long, study wrong," when their goal is to goad you into action prematurely because they've seen a flaw in their strategy that they don't want you to notice, or they're afraid you'll notice something they didn't. We all think, all the time, about many things. Even the densest of us are always thinking. It is part of being a living human being. We have a quantity of thoughts, but how much of that thought is quality thought? If we begin to focus on actually thinking through all of our thoughts, patiently and deliberately, we can improve on the quality of our thoughts and begin to have a quantity of quality thoughts. In the coming episodes of the Thinker series, I hope to be able to provide you with tips, strategies, and perspectives that will improve the way we think about thinking, think more about what we choose to think about, improve the quality of our thoughts, and hopefully improve the quality of our lives. I hope that you find this interesting and will be looking forward to more of the Thinker series. Please like below and subscribe by clicking on the Thinker image that appears in the center of your screen.